Welcome to Dairy Robot Radio, the show that provides answers to your most pressing questions about dairy farming and automation. Each episode will focus on a major topic within the dairy industry and will feature experts throughout our industry and within Lely to help provide information and different perspectives on automation. And now, here's your host, Bellana Putz.
Welcome to another edition of Dairy Robot Radio during our June Dairy Month Blitz, where we are talking to Lely robot owners who are processing their own milk into a variety of dairy products. Today we're going to talk to another great farm family, farmer-owned operation found in the middle of Michigan, and I'd like to welcome Troy Westendorp to the podcast series.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Thanks. So Troy, tell the world what your dairy operation looks like, family members, what all you guys are doing there up in Michigan.
Yeah, so we started the creamery in 2005, about 7 years before we built the robot barn. But basically, it's an on-farm creamery that's located about 500 feet away from the dairy farm, and we gravity feed all the milk that we produce down to the creamery, and from there we bottle milk, make ice cream, cheese curds, and butter. We have our own 2 stores that are both glorified ice cream shops, basically, and then we also sell our products wholesale to about 160 wholesale accounts, and yeah, it keeps us busy.
So I think you guys are mostly a family-owned farm operation. Who's doing what?
Yeah, so big family. I'll give you a little background about the farm start. Basically, my parents moved to the farm we're at now in 1991 with 6 kids under the age of 6. So I have a older brother, Carlisle. I have a twin brother, his name's Eric, and then the triplets are Tina, Levi, and Brittany. And we're basically goes 1, 2, 3 right in order. So that's how they had 6 kids under 6. So
holy cats! I can't imagine being a mom of twins and having 5 at once under that. Well, 6 under 6. Wow.
Yeah, I'll just explain to you kind of our roles, basically. My older brother, Carlisle, he's full-time at the farm. He manages the equipment and feed side of things. My twin brother, Eric, he's kind of the cow guy and manages the cows and heifers along with our genetic program. I'm in charge of ice cream production, social media, and wholesale accounts. And then in the triplets, my brother, Levi, he processes all the milk. And makes the butter and cheese curds, along with helping manage the wholesale accounts. My sister Tina, she manages all our storefront employees and kind of deals with inventory and helps with social media as well. And then my other sister Brittany, she has 4 kids under the age of 6, and she'd like to help out more, but she still registers all the calves. But other than that, she's at home with the kids. So. Yeah, and then my parents are still fully involved. Dad still helps process milk every morning. He's always the first one here. And my mom, she manages the bookwork side of things, and you can find her out mowing or fixing or doing whatever needs to be done, basically. So
very nice. Sounds like everybody's got their own special role to make it all work. So 2005, the creamery opened. What were some of the deciding factors that played into that decision?
Yeah, so a lot of us boys showed interest in coming back to the farm, and when we started the creamery in 2005, we were milking 90 cows, and basically my parents didn't want to double the herd just to make enough work for us boys, so they started exploring different avenues, and it was actually 2002 when they started talking about the creamery, and my parents basically spent 3 years researching and driving around and looking at different creameries and getting ideas from everyone, and just making sure it was basically going to work, and pulled the trigger in 2004, and we opened Memorial Day weekend of 2005. So, they wanted basically to be able to control the prices a little bit more instead of the swings of the dairy market, and basically wanted to take out the middleman. So.
Great, makes a lot of sense. So for you right now, being in the role of ice cream man, social media, it sounds like you're overseeing the production of the food products. What have been some of the challenges you've faced and you see?
Yeah. So the plant, when we first designed it, it was more designed towards milk. Ice cream kind of came a few years later. And basically, I'm kind of short on freezer space and production space, but we basically make it work. But I mean, we have 75 different flavors, so it's a lot to manage in terms of all the ingredients that go in all the flavors and things like that. But like I said, we've added on a few times over the years and added more freezer space, but everything just keeps getting a little bit tighter, it seems like.
So you're going into the peak of the season for your ice cream production. What's a week look like for you in terms of production?
Mm-hmm. So this week, we just finished up production yesterday, actually, and this week has been the biggest production week that we've had so far this year. And we made just under 2,500 gallons of ice cream on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So I have a full crew that helps out, and there's 4 of us in there when we're in full production, and we can usually kick out about 1,000 gallons of ice cream an hour, but that or not 100 gallons of ice cream an hour. Sorry, that keeps us busy, and yeah, there's not a lot of breaks. So
wow. So for somebody out there in our listening audience that's toying with this idea, what piece of advice would you give someone considering to process or sell milk, or sell their product, should I say?
Yeah. So we've actually get a ton of people calling us and coming to visit just because there's a lot of interest from other dairy farms to do the things that we are doing currently, and we always tell them to look at their state regulations. Michigan's a little more lenient on their state guidelines compared to other states like Wisconsin and New York and such. And so I'd start off with that. I'd also start off with who's buying your milk now. If you did even start talking about bottling your own milk, to make sure that they would be okay with not getting 100% of your milk. We know there's quite a few big co-ops out there that as soon as you start breaking ground on a creamery or anything that would make your own dairy products, they'll basically cut you off pretty quickly. So then you'd be stuck for however many months that you'd be building and getting everything up to production. So I'd probably start off at that, and people are sometimes blown away with how much the equipment does cost. And so yeah, there's definitely a lot of research and things you need to look at first.
Great pieces of advice for people thinking about it. So you guys have a retail business, a very consumer front-facing business. What is one thing you wish you would have known before you took your leadership role?
That's a great question. Maybe we were too slow to getting fully on board on social media. Social media is a monster, and it's basically instant news that you can put out whenever you want. And sometimes you got to be careful with what you write, because you don't want to upset your already customer base that you have. But basically got to be careful. And we should have jumped fully on board with social media and what it can do, I guess, earlier. But there's definitely a lot of benefits to it at the same time. So
makes a lot of sense. What's your favorite part of managing, leading, producing ice cream?
Probably my favorite part about working here is just seeing the whole family every day and seeing us work as a team. Ice cream's kind of a fun thing to be in, and it puts a lot of smile on people's faces. And a lot of people associate summer nights with going out and getting ice cream and finding their favorite local ice cream place. And we've become that to a lot of the locals over the years. So it's good to see the same faces over and over, and know that you get a lot of returning customers, and just that you basically have something that sets us apart, and that we're basically doing a good job. And that's probably the best part.
Yeah, it's totally true. As a farm family myself, it's kind of an incentive for my little guys of, if we get our work done, then we might run down the road about 5 miles, go grab an ice cream, and kind of relax a minute before we do get geared up for a new week. So you're the smile man. So for those people, being that we are in summer, and the kids are out of school and parents are out and about planning the summer vacations, and if they're going to cut through Michigan, where do they find you guys?
Yeah, so we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, but at the same time we're we've got some pretty large cities close to us, but if you know where Lansing, Kalamazoo, and Grand Rapids are, if you form a triangle between all three of those big cities, we're basically close to right into the center of it. So we're on two kind of major roads, which is M79 and M66. But if you're by Lansing, Kalamazoo, or Grand Rapids, you're not any farther than an hour from us. So.
And then once they get there, ice cream is a piece of the puzzle, but what else do you guys offer to families?
Yeah, maybe our biggest draw is the petting zoo. So when we built the creamery, we kind of designed it with a petting zoo in mind, and it's grown, and we try to do an improvement every year. And this year we put a basketball court up in the petting zoo, but there's about 30 different animals out there, and there's feed cones out there to feed them, and yeah, that's probably our biggest draw. And we're definitely a destination ice cream place, but people will drive an hour and spend a whole afternoon here at the petting zoo, and along with getting ice cream and milk and things of that matter. So
nice, and they can take some cheese curds and butter home to snack or use in their favorite recipe.
Yeah. We also offer self-guided tours, basically, for them to go see the robots. So we do a lot of guided tours, school tours, and things of that nature. But if we get a small group that comes in, we've got basically a big flyer printed up and shows a map of the robot barns, and they can go up there and see the cows being milked and walk through the barn and kind of do it at their own pace. And it describes everything, and they can kind of see where all our dairy products are coming from. So people like the buy local thing's been huge. That kind of caught on about 4 or 5 years ago, but people like to know where their products that they're eating are coming from. So it's definitely been a big draw for us.
So if my notes are right, it was about 7 years ago the family chose to move to robots. So why did you do that? What was some of the driving factors?
Yeah, so at the time when we built the robot barn, when we were at 90 cows, we were kind of running short of fluid milk for the creamery. So we had a waiting list for stores waiting for milk. So even though my parents built the creamery to kind of avoid expanding the herd, we knew in order to take the next step, that's what we were going to have to do. And the barn that the cows were in was 40 years old. The parlor was the same age. And actually 2 weeks before we moved into the robot barn, one of the walls in the parlor was falling down, and we were holding it up with 2x4s. So it was time for an upgrade, and we decided to start from scratch and built the robot barn from the ground up. And the first day in the robots, we shut the parlor down and never looked back, basically. So.
How has Lely technology helped with the production of your milk?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we moved from 90 cows to 220-ish, we added a little bit of labor just to help offset the growth of the creamery, but basically our labor costs stayed the same, even though we more than doubled the size of the herd. So we kind of paid for the labor up front with the robots, and I definitely don't miss milking in the parlor like we did at 10 o'clock at night before. So we basically, we're 7 years in with the robots now, and kind of got things clicking. And as far as maintenance and cows that know the robots, and there's always training new fresh heifers, but basically we got a system in place, and we know what needs to be done, and robots definitely have changed the way that we farm, and we basically farm smarter instead of farming harder.
And so recognizing that's a part of the tours, and if I can grab an ice cream cone and then go take a walking tour, what's some of the feedback that you hear from the consumers that go through the robot barn?
Mm-hmm. Kind of the coolest thing I think is the school tours, them, the kids seeing the robots and actually learning like where milk comes from. And so many of them just think that milk kind of just comes from the store and just automatically shows up there, but they really have no idea what goes into making a gallon of milk. And the other cool thing to see is maybe like grandparents that grew up milking cows by hand, like my grandparents did, and then you can see us how we're doing it, milking cows by robot. And it kind of almost blows their mind just because they didn't even know these kind of things existed. And it's definitely cool to see. And usually people have a lot of questions, but they're very interested in them, that's for sure.
So you guys have quite a legacy in the dairy industry, and you started out with cows, and now you're really two different stores where people can buy their products. So over time, have you guys become known for anything unique?
The big two things that we're most known for is the chocolate milk and the ice cream. The chocolate milk, we make it with granulated sugar instead of corn syrup. It's also made with whole milk, which definitely makes a difference. It makes it a little thicker, and some people even say it almost tastes like a milkshake because it's so thick. But basically, we're using the highest quality products we can, and in the end, we get the best chocolate milk on the market. And then in terms of ice cream, with us making about 75 different flavors, if you can't find a flavor out of 75 that you like, then you probably have a problem. So we like making things that are unique and different. And I know this last winter we made a pickle ice cream that, got on the news, got in 10 newspapers, and people like different, and we like to make different flavors, even though we got our staples that mostly outsell those weird flavors. But kind of just gets people talking, and they're always interested to see what we come up with when they come out and go out and see us. So
sounds like great marketing to me. Any particular claims to fame?
Yeah, with us in the town of Nashville, we're located. There's a business district, and we help break the Guinness Book of World Records for the world's longest Sunday. So we broke it in 2014, I believe, and it was 3,600 feet long from end to end. And then about 6 months later, another creamery here in Michigan rebroke it, and they broke it at 5,000 feet. So a year later after that, we rebroke our own record and their own record at about 6,000 feet, which we held the record for about a year, and then a place in Texas broke it. But it was a fun experience, and I don't think we'll ever do it again. And it was a lot of ice cream. It was about 1,200 gallons of vanilla ice cream scooped end to end. So there was a lot of coordination, but it was fun. And I know last year in 2018, Food Network also named us the top ice cream in the state, which we got a lot of recognition from that as well. So.
Very cool. I'm guessing the people lined up for all that free ice cream and all of those contests that you didn't, none went to waste.
Yeah. The second one, we didn't even have enough people to eat it all. It was so much ice cream, but there was about 6,000 people there, and it was kind of a colder, windy, rainy day, but most of it was still gone by the end of the Sunday. So.
Yum. So during this month of June, being that it is Dairy Month, we are highlighting a recipe that each of our dairy farms provided to us, and looks like your great recipe is called the MOO-ville Cookie Monster MOO-villants. What is inside of what are the ingredients in the MOO-villants?
Yeah, so we kind of took the inspiration from our number one selling hard ice cream, which is Cookie Monster, which is basically a Blue Moon ice cream with Oreos and cookie dough, and we also have a soft serve machine that kicks out Blue Moon ice cream. And if you're not familiar with Blue Moon ice cream, it's kind of a Michigan flavor, maybe more of a Midwest flavor, but mostly known here in Michigan. But it kind of tastes like Fruity Pebbles, or it definitely doesn't taste like blueberry, but it's kind of even hard to describe. But basically, it's Blue Moon ice cream with Oreos and cookie dough is blended up, and some people do get it as a shake as well. But kind of what we're known for. But yeah, like I said, there's a lot of different flavors they can get, but maybe that's our number one seller right there. So.
Thank you. Very nice. So for those folks traveling down the road during the summer break, again, you can find MOO-ville ice cream there at the Ionia location and at the Nashville locations. But early on, you mentioned 160 different wholesale accounts. So what are some of the names? What are some of the brand names of the stores where they can find MOO-ville ice cream on the shelves?
So our number one wholesale account was actually one that started up with us about 6 or 7 months after we started the creamery, and it's called Horrocks, and it's basically a farm market, and there's 3 of them, one in Battle Creek, Lansing, and Grand Rapids, but they sell all of our dairy products, all the milk, all the ice cream, and things of that nature. They're a big part of our operation, and we're glad to have them. And but we sell to several just grocery store chains, along with schools, coffee shops. We're in quite a few hospitals. Got a couple distributors that cover kind of the northern half of Michigan. Most of our distributing stays within about 60, 70 miles of the creamery here. So if you find our products farther out than that, it would be from a distributor. But yeah, we're happy to take on anyone who basically will take enough milk to make it worth their stop. So.
Well, if you are an ice cream lover, there's only 75 different flavors that you can get at one of the two MOO-ville locations. And if you're headed down the road, you should definitely try out, I think, their exclusive Blue Moon ice cream. Well, Troy, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us and share your personal story about processing milk into cheese curds, bottled milk, ice cream, butter, all the yummy, tasty, healthy items that you guys produce there at MOO-ville. And for everyone traveling down the road, be sure to stop in at either the Ionia or Nashville locations. And Troy, where can people find you online?
Yeah, so our website is www.moo-ville.com. You can also follow us on Facebook at MOO-ville Creamery, Instagram, and Twitter. So
you're everywhere.
Everywhere. That's the goal.
Sweet. Well, everybody have a great summer and stop by MOO-ville to have a sweet treat. Thank you.
You've been listening to Dairy Robot Radio, the show for dairy producers who want their questions answered by experts in dairy automation. Connect with us at dairyrobotradio.com to listen to all episodes and learn more about the topics and guests on the show. You can also find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify.